First-person shooter, also known as the FPS genre, has always been a popular yet great category of games to play. In today's video, we have another poll winner, so let's talk about the top 10 first-person shooter games and see which games I think are the best within this category. Both online and offline FPS games are taken into account when I made this list. So without further ado, hello guys, my name is Hepodix and I hope you enjoy the video. Let's start the countdown with Halo Reach, which many believe was the best from the Halo franchise, as well as Bungie's most successful take on the series. Nowadays, it's the 343 Industries that has taken the development of the Halo series with mixed feedback. Reach is the fifth installment in the Halo franchise and a direct prequel to Halo Combat Evolved. Despite being over a decade old at this point, it still features a great campaign featuring the events of how the whole Halo series began and a solid multiplayer experience as well. It's really noticeable at this point how Bungie was getting better at doing Halo games over time, because Reach just has the best things to offer and therefore it takes the 10th spot in this list. At number 9 spot we have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, developed by Ubisoft Montreal. This tactical shooter is over 5 years old at this point, but it's still enjoyed by many today and even has a competitive scene around it. That said, its multiplayer gameplay is the highlight no doubt, although there are some single player and co-op activities as well. There are two teams of 5, attackers and defenders, fighting each other for different objectives such as hostage and bomb, and the players get to choose different characters, or better known as operators, which each have unique gadgets to use. These different modes and operators and the continued support from the developers is what gives this game variety and longevity, and for all the tactical shooter fans out there, Rainbow Six Siege is a must-try game in my opinion. Moving to the 8th spot, let's talk about BioShock Infinite, an FPS game created by Irrational Games. It's the third entry in the BioShock series, featuring similar gameplay concepts and themes from its predecessors. BioShock Infinite has been regarded as one of the best games of the 7th generation consoles, and for good reason. It features an excellent storyline, amazing visuals, great overall execution, and the openness of Columbia provides for more dynamic combat, such as the city's skyline roller coaster-like rail system. Even though the first two BioShock games were also really good, I still think that Infinite in particular shines amongst them the most and is still quite amazing game even to this day. Next at number 7 spot we have the free-to-play Battle Royale FPS Call of Duty Warzone, co-developed by Infinity Ward and Raven Software. The Call of Duty series as a whole has had a long run in the gaming industry, some of them being really good and some quite infamous for their crappy execution, and even though Warzone specifically is free-to-play and Battle Royale, it's been quite successful run so far. It features two main modes, the classic Battle Royale, where the map continuously shrinks and you need to be the last man standing, as well as Plunder, where teams search for stacks of cash and the winner is declared which team has the most money towards the end. I personally thought that the gaming market already was overblown with the Battle Royale titles, but Call of Duty Warzone proves that if the execution has been done in a good way, it can still be successful, and this game is the shining example of that. At number 6 spot, I want to talk about the Doom series because it was the first game franchise that brought FPS to the mainstream, and for years any other game that tried to copy Doom was dubbed as the Doom clone. Many years later, Doom games are still present, and for this entry in particular, I chose Doom Eternal from the bunch, which I talked as well in my top 10 best games of 2020 video. Plot-wise, Doom Eternal does not innovate much, as you take on the role of the Doomslayer, battling demonic forces of hell, but the main catch is how addicting and aggressive the combat system is overall. There are a ton of cool weapons to use, great level designs, and a lot of variety in which makes this old franchise still relevant, and all of the Doom games, as well as Eternal, are really great games to play today. Moving to the 5th spot, let's talk about a FPS game that's free to play with the exception of its DLCs and Season Pass, Destiny 2. It's another entry from Bungie in this list and quite an enjoyable game, especially with friends. Destiny 2 features a great storyline, quests, and the actual gameplay is very enjoyable, even though it might feel repetitive at times. You have a choice between 3 classes, Hunter, Warlock, and Titan, which all provide variety, as well as different abilities and utilities for many situations to come. The main attraction, however, is the loot system, which is really addicting as you grow stronger, find weapons and armor that you like to use, and even though D2 mainly has PvE activities to play, its PvP side of things can be enjoyable too. Let's take a look at number 4 spot, which is cited as one of the best games of all time, Half-Life 2. All of the Half-Life games are excellent, but the second entry in particular is just so memorable to me, therefore choosing this from the rest. You play as Gordon Freeman, who continues the journey from the first Half-Life game that fights the alien Combine. It's an FPS game that looks pretty solid even today, has an amazing storyline, and it hosts many iconic moments and weapons such as the gravity gun. There was even a continuation to Half-Life 2 in an episodic format dubbed Episode 1 and Episode 2, which are also excellent, and a prequel, Half-Life Alyx, which is a VR game but still really good. This all makes me wonder if there is ever going to be a Half-Life 3, which I've heard some rumors that it won't going to be happening. Despite that, I personally hope it will happen because the demand is there, and if it takes another decade for it to come out, fans will be still interested. That's how influential the Half-Life series is as a whole, and Half-Life 2 more than deserves a spot in my list. At number 3 spot, we have Valorant, the Riot Games' flagship FPS game. It's a multiplayer 5 vs 5 tactical shooter, taking elements from regular shooter and hero shooter categories. Each character or agent in this game have unique abilities that provide necessary tools for you to win, and it's important to coordinate together whether you're defending or planting the map's objective, known as the Spike, which is an explosive device. You can purchase different guns that provides variety, and depending on the weapon they excel on different situations to come. There are also different modes to play, such as Spike Rush and Deathmatch, but the competitive mode is where I think it's best at, because honestly, this game is designed to be an esport, which can be seen in the evolving professional scene. All in all, Valorant is a great shooter, but it really requires, in my opinion, to have friends to play with to fully unlock its potential. For number 2 spot, I want to talk about Overwatch, a team-based multiplayer FPS developed by Blizzard. Despite the sequel not being arrived yet, I still think gameplay-wise, Overwatch is a solid game, but the dwindling player base and the current situation overall worries me. That aside, it's a hero shooter game with fast-paced action, a ton of heroes to choose from, which all grant different abilities to the table as you get to choose from 3 categories: tank, DPS, and support. It breaks the 5 vs 5 tradition by adding 6th player to each side of the team, which is okay, although it makes the game quite hectic at times. In different maps, there are a variety of modes to keep the core gameplay mixed, known as Assault, Escort, Control, and few others. And as the game is competitive by nature, there is even a separate league known as the Overwatch League to support professional play. Overall, it's a fun experience if you have friends to play with. We'll just have to see how the future of this game will be decided, whether fans are still interested or not after Blizzard delaying Overwatch 2 so many times already. At number 1 spot, we have none other than Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a game developed by Valve that still holds up today even despite being over 8 years old at this point. Counter-Strike series spawned as a mod from the aforementioned Half-Life series, but the competitive aspect and continued support is why I think it's even better overall. It's an objective-based multiplayer FPS where 2 opposing teams, terrorists and counter-terrorists, compete against each other in the form of plant or defuse a bomb or capturing hostages. The variety comes from different maps and weapons, as well as the shooting itself is really spot on once you get the hang of it. And like any other competitive FPS, it has an esports scene built around it, which is still enjoyable to watch. And like I've mentioned few times already, I want to highlight that FPS games are most enjoyable when playing together with friends, so that's why these multiplayer games are in higher spot for me than let's say Half-Life 2 is, but like all top 10 videos, they are opinion based and that's why there is the comment section if your opinion differs from mine. Okay, so that's it for the top 10 FPS or first person shooter games list. If you find my content enjoyable, like this video as it helps with the YouTube algorithm, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more great gaming related videos to come. You can also find me on other social platforms such as Twitter and Instagram, all the links are in the video description below. Thanks for watching, my name is Hepodix and have a nice day.